Alright, shoutout mga idol this week creation. So ngayong araw ay papanoorin natin and magbibigay po tayo ng sariling comments and reaction po natin dito po sa Senate budget hearing para sa Office of the Vice President, lalo na dito sa sinasabi nating confidential fund. So, pilit tinatanong at gusto malaman kung bakit nga ba mayroong confidential fund at bakit ito kailangan. Bakit hindi daw ilagay na lang o ilaan yung pondo sa ibang ahensya instead of confidential fund ng Office of the Vice President.
Waste, parked and hidden somewhere, or just return to the National Treasury. So yung unang tanong ko po on the education fiscal space. So the CPBRD of the House noted that DepEd's budget utilization rate is 96.7%. If this utilization rate remains constant in 2023, a 3.3% will still become an unused appropriation amounting to around 23 billion pesos, which would still be high. So may I inquire how the DepEd intends to continuously improve its budget utilization to close the gap in the education sector?
Hirap ma-reach ang 100% budget utilization is really impossible. For example, in procurement, nobody will bid exactly the same price ng approved budget for the contract. So that is something na palagi rin po namin ina-explain na it's really very difficult to reach. In fact, ma'am, 97% is really the perfect for the financial performance.
Like to say something?
Yes, thank you, Your Honors. In addition to that, the finance run for this year, we already inventoried the budget that will lapse by December 31, and you have the number. Yes, and we already wrote the strands who have pending items, and much of it is with the procurement because of the election ban and the delay in the reconstitution of our bids and awards committee because of we were waiting for the appointments of our USECs and ASECs.
Salamat kaayo, Sec. To my next subject, Madam Chair, on affirmative action on IP education. So it's come also to my attention that the IP education program's budget was reduced from 144.3 million pesos this year 2022 to 53.4 million pesos in the NEP 2023. So kung tama po ito, may I inquire as to the reason for this significant decrease by 2/3?
Ang 2020 and 2021 had a big effect in our program implementation because of the no face-to-face blended, yung naging blended approach po tayo. At ng lahat po ng programa namin, we try to reprioritize and reallocate. But for IPED, marami po sa mga programa nila requires the convening of learners. And so that's the reason why yung utilization po nila ay mababa in the 2 previous years. At yun po yung nangyari sa NEP nila. But IPED will be among the restorations that we will request our budget sponsors to do. So kasama po dito yung SPED, IPED, and all the other curriculum and instruction programs na mababa po yung utilization in the past 2 years. And we will internally realign using our flexible learning options po na pondo.
Salamat, Yusek. Kaugnay pa rin nito, whether it will be Yusek still to answer or the SEC would care to comment, central to that IP education program of ours is the recruitment and the hiring of IP teachers o yung ating mga guro mula mismo sa mga katutubong komunidad. So, may I ask the Secretary or the USEC if there is an ongoing program that encourages scholarships for teachers' education from IP communities? And can this also in particular be given attention in the utilization of funds sa ilalim ng Education Human Resource Development Program?
So tama din ito mga idol, no, na dapat yung mga katutubo po natin ay ma-recruit or mabigyan po sila ng chance ng mas mataas na edukasyon at sila na rin mismo yung yung magturo sa kanilang community. So maganda ito, no, maganda talaga itong dapat iaangat itong mga buhay ng ating mga katutubo kasi sila po ay hirap din sa kanilang pag-aaral. So tama may itong question ni Senator Risa Hontiveros. Pero ika nga sabi ng DepEd ay may budget na po sila at mayroon na silang programa para dyan. So medyo nahuli na po dito si Senator Risa Hontiveros.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Yusek Mercado of BHROD will answer.
Yes, ma'am. We already have a department order for hiring of IP teachers. And we also have allotted a fund from our National Educators Academy program, which is competency for building competency for teachers specific to IP concerns. So that's taken care of. Thank you, Senator Risa.
Salamat din po, Yusek Mercado. That's good to hear po. On a final note on this one, I recall during the SONA that the Secretary wore a Bagobo Tagabawa dress to raise public awareness on the plight of indigenous communities caught in armed conflicts. And knowing the Secretary's advocacy for peace and order, I would like to ask if DepEd, by way of affirmative action, might voluntarily realign its confidential fund to fully restore the budget cut on the IP education program? Or as a prior question, Sec, para saan po ba yung confidential fund?
Yes,
Ito na naman si Senator Risa Hontiveros, no? At itong confidential fund ay paulit-ulit na itong tinatanong sa House of Representatives. So ngayon tanungin na naman ito ni Senator Risa. Ang kulit, no? So, maganda rin kasi trabaho din naman nila. Kaya nga, trabaho nila. Bakit di mo sila kaya magtanong? Okay, ayaw mo na magsagot si VP Sara.
for our confidential funds, this is based on the Joint Circular 2015-01 of the COA, DBM, DILG, Governance Commission, and the Department of National Defense. And the use for this confidential funds is expenses pertaining or related to surveillance activities in civilian government agencies that are intended to support the mandate or operations of the agency, particularly those listed in 4.8 of the joint circular. And that is the purchase of information necessary for the formulation and implementation of programs, activities, and projects relevant to the national security and peace and order, rental of transport vehicles related to confidential activities, rentals and incidental expenses related to the maintenance of safe houses, purchase or rental of supplies, materials, and equipment for confidential operations that cannot be done through regular procedure without compromising the information gathering activity concerned, payment of rewards to informers, non-employee of concerned government agency subject to the following conditions of A, B, and C, and uncover, prevent illegal activities that pose a clear and present danger to agency, personnel, property, or other facilities and resources under the agency protection, done in coordination with appropriate law enforcement agencies, other than that, which may be authorized by the GAA. Some of the issues and challenges that we have encountered in our field operations are the drug involvement of our personnel and our learners. We already have a case where our teacher is selling drugs to our learners, and the all forms of abuses. We have physical abuse, we have sexual abuse, and other forms. And then there is also the recruitment in violent extremism and terrorism. We also have schools which are targeted for recruitment of learners in insurgency. We also have cases, and we are working right now on the involvement of our personnel and our learners in child pornography. We are currently working with this, with the Department of Justice and other um, illegal activities that our learners are recruited inside our schools, as well as these scams that are happening online and inside our schools, both of which victimize learners and teachers. These are just examples of cases that we have encountered in field operations.
Well, daghang salamat, Sec. I will return to my earlier question about realigning to restore fully the budget cut on the IP education program. But I do just feel the need, Madam Chair, to make of record na yung subject activities in the joint circular, parang mas bagay po, honestly, mas bagay pang confidential and intelligence funds for our existing national security, national defense, law enforcement, even women and children protection bodies, governmental bodies and programs. So just for the record on that, Madam Chair. So but I'll return also to my question, Sec, kung bilang affirmative action, kung voluntarily po i-realign ng department yung confidential fund para makumpleto ulit yung natanggal na budget cut sa IP education program.
With regard to budget cuts, we can, within the Department of Education, we can work out realignments and realignments in our budget so that we can fund activities, and programs, activities, and projects that need funding. With regard to the confidential funds, this is a proposal that we submitted to Congress. And as I said earlier, with regard to the confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President, we submit to the wisdom of Congress with regard to the amount and the proprietary matter on decision on the confidential funds. But we would like to put it on record that we reassure the Congress and the public that these funds will be used in relation to what is allowed in the joint circular of those agencies mentioned earlier, 2015-01. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Gamitan nga ng confidential fund, ika nga sabi ni Vice President Sara Duterte, ay ito ay kailangan sa training and surveillance, purchase of information na kailangan nila, alright, para sa national security, and of course rental of transport for confidential activities na hindi po pwede sabihin kasi mako-compromise ang mga activities na confidential, rental of safe houses, payment of rewards for informers. So yan po yung ilang importanteng bagay na nabanggit po ng ating Vice Presidente. And isa pa dito, kaya nga meron silang confidential fund na hindi pwede ma-compromise, ay yung recruitment of terrorism sa Department of Education. So sa mga schools, kaya nga ito ay tinututukan ng ating Vice Presidente. And ayon naman kay Sen.Risa Hontiveros, bakit hindi na lang itong confidential fund ay gagamitin para sa national defense, sa women's section, o kaya i-realign sa ibang departamento na karapat-dapat sa itong confidential fund na hinihingi ng Office of the Vice President. Pero ang sabi naman ni BP Sara na pwede naman natin i-realign itong budget para masuportahan yung ibang departamento. So willing naman sila, and ika nga, gaya ng sabi ni Vice President Sara Duterte, ay ang budget na hinihingi nila ay depende sa Kongreso, House of Representatives, kung magkano yung kanilang ibibigay. Sabi niya, pinaubaya ko na sa kanila, basta't importante ay sinabi ko na, humingi ako ng budget para dito. Kung ibibigay nila, thank you. Kung hindi, ay okay lang. kung magkano ang ibibigay nilang budget ay tatanggapin po ng Office of the Vice President.
Yung sa ECCD, if the Secretary would care to add dun sa sinagot ni Sir Isip earlier, from the higher and the broader perspective of the department bilang ang ECCD program or ang ECCD Council attached agency, kung ano yung assessment ni Secretary about the ECCD program and what we can expect from the department to improve the performance of the ECCD councils para ma-fulfill nila yung mandate nila.
Right. Yes. We already, after his question and answer earlier, we talked to Director Isip, and we asked him what is the problem with their procurement, and he made us understand that the problem is that they don't have an executive director in their council right now because their previous ED was coterminous with the appointing authority from the previous administration, and there is a pending paper application from the same executive director that is lodged with the Office of the Vice President. And we committed to him that we will, Yusek Densing committed to him that he will look into where the paper is right now, considering that there is also a change in the executive secretary position.
As chair of the Senate Committee on Women, Children,
So, yung mga idol, no, all in all, ay nakita naman natin kung paano depensahan ng Office of the Vice President itong hinihingi nilang confidential fund. At yung na-explain naman ng maayos para sa ilang senadors, lalo na po si Risa Hontiveros, na talagang interesado po para sa confidential fund ng Office of the Vice President. Lahat naman po nabigyan ng detalye, lahat ng tanong niya ay nasagot. At sa huli ay nakita naman natin na pabor naman itong si Risa Hontiveros sa confidential fund ng Office of the Vice President. Pero nga mayroon lang siyang mungkahi na baka pwede i-realign itong confidential fund at mabigyan naman yung ilang mga departamento na alanganin yung budget. Pero si Inday Sara naman or BP Sara Duterte ay pabor naman sa sinasabi nito ni Risa Hontiveros na willing naman sila i-realign yung budget or makipag-coordinate sa ilang departamento para sa ikabubuti ng ating bansa. So maraming salamat po sa support na rin ni Risa Hontiveros kasi sa dami-dami ng kanyang tanong ay sa dulo-duluhan ng kanyang conclusion, baga, ay na-conclude niya naman na pabor at suportado niya yung Office of the Vice President, lalo na yung Department of Education. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. That's my comments and reaction from my personal opinion. Maraming salamat. This is Week Creation. Thank you so much sa mga nag-like. Alright, sa mga avid supporters po natin, maraming salamat and God bless everyone. Good vibes po tayo always. Thank you.